realms of light, where the vast majority of who you are also exists. We welcome you to the realms of light, from where your physical life, your physical personalities, and your entire physical worlds also spring. We welcome you to these realms, whereby, through making this connection, we help to build the bridge, the connection, the link between your physicalized personalities that you perceive yourselves to be and the higher minds that you are becoming more and more increasingly acquainted with. And we would like to congratulate you for taking steps into this new field of reality, this new adventure that you're co-creating with one another. While it might appear on the surface as if you go through several iterations and bumps in the roads and seeming obstacles, this is actually what you know as the formula, the excitement, the passion. It is bringing to the surface items that are ready for clearing, that must be cleared for you to continue to progress upon this path and this arc of transformation. Therefore, do not be surprised if you find yourselves digging with the shovel a little bit and unpacking some things that have been hidden for some time. For if it is there, then trust the curriculum, as trust the way your life unfolds. It is there for a reason, and it is coming up precisely because that is exactly what you must untether yourselves from in order to have the experience of moving more fully into your higher selves. And when you come together in these groups, you very much amplify one another's energy, and you will find that you have a perfect match of abilities, but also similarly matching, shall we say, curricula or issues that you're working with, challenges that you're overcoming in your life. And so you'll find that you can reflect challenges to one another and also to help one another, for you have very similar challenges to deal with, to work through, to experience in this arc of transformation in your physical lives. So there is a reason you're all together, and you're experiencing the unfoldment of yourselves, and sometimes you experience it in the glorious wonder of the unveiling of your true natural selves. And sometimes you experience it as the unveiling of the aspects of your personality that are in resistance to moving into more and more of your true natural selves. And these are like two sides of the same coin. So it is very important to appreciate all aspects of this process of expansion. So naturally, having the experience of co-creating this wonderful conference that you created together through the set conference, then you experience a little bit of a period which feels a little bit like slowing down. However, this is not slowing down. This is part of the acceleration by the revelation of various aspects that have been brought to the surface through the raising vibration, and you are working through it quite well. So we congratulate you for rolling your sleeves up and having the willingness to come here to continue this adventure, knowing that it will at some point reveal various aspects of yourselves that sometimes feel a little uncomfortable to look at and sit with. However, that we assure you is part of this process of expansion, and so you are stepping into that fully and more fully each and every day. So with that, we will then open it up, for we feel there are, as has been stated, there are some questions that would like to be addressed. So we will dive right into the question and answer portion.
I have questions.
Good.
I had some very disturbing experiences last night and today. And I've got some questions that I had to write down.
Sounds interesting.
I I'm going to use the word spirit to refer to somebody, a human being that is dead and has passed over, has transitioned. Are there troubled spirits?
Well, there are, in a sense, you can say troubled if you would apply that same word to those that are still physical in your lifetime. There are challenges to be overcome, and some challenges continue to be overcome in the spirit realm, shall we say, particularly by spirits that are very close in vibration to the physical plane, some that have crossed over that are a little bit, shall we say, still attached to unfinished and unresolved business. And so you can say troubled in a kind of colloquial way. There are still some challenges to be overcome. And should you experience such a being, you can initiate, if it is your excitement to do so, contact with them and simply ask them what it is that they want. Most of the time there are many misunderstandings. And there can also be a little bit of a layer of apprehension because you are dealing with a different dimension. However, they are in a sense like people too, just in a non-physical state, and some don't even recognize that they have even crossed over. So you can, if it is your excitement, initiate contact or receive the contact and ask them what they want. Most of the time they just want to be heard, or they have a lack of understanding of their current state in which they find themselves. On top of that, feeling frustration with this experience of not being heard, or all of a sudden being in an experience where nobody seems to see them or respond to them, and that can be very frustrating and confusing. So yes, there are these types of entities, and they might interject a little havoc into your lives, but most of the time they are simply just confused and attempting to reach out and to be heard and understood, and attempting to solve their particular dilemma or challenge. So we assume you have some follow-up question to that?
I do. When a person transitions, when a person dies and goes through his afterlife review, could they be so remorseful for some of the things they have done in this existence that they get stuck?
There's really no true stuckness. And generally, afterlife review, this wouldn't be a normal situation. This sense of stuckness that you might perceive would be with spirits that are still very close to physical and vibration and haven't necessarily gone through the integrative life review, which would, by definition, integrate their energy in such a way that it would render them ready to move on to the next phase of their development. However, the spirits that are, in a sense, caught in their own reality bubble of their own creation, in a manner of speaking, separated and segregated from themselves and from their guides and from their teachers.
Exactly.
Those ones would be then caught in a loop, as it were, which is not unlike what people of a physical nature also do in their lives. You see this in your physical beings as well. People get really caught up in these loops and repetitive loops of repetitive behaviors and repeating quote unquote the same mistakes. It is very similar to that energy of a repetitive loop and a kind of a denial about being in denial, where you perpetuate the same kind of reality for various reasons.
Next question, and this is actually my last question. At least I think it's my last question. Can a spirit be of so low vibration that they can't find the connection to their oversoul? I know that separation from your oversoul is impossible, but could the spirit be of so low vibration that that whole concept is not available to them.
There is such a possibility for, of course, recognize if you can imagine something to be true, then it has some reality. Because you cannot imagine something that is non-existent. And yes, as much as people create these repetitive loops in their physical lives and create the experience of being cut off, then too, so can spirits also create these reality bubbles whereby they can experience a kind of reality that is experientially experienced as being cut off from the oversoul. And this would be just like what we talked about, where they are in denial and in denial about being in denial. So there's these veils of consciousness. And so it is indeed possible. And there are beings that go through that state from time to time.
So they're kind of so caught up in their own funk that they're kind of oblivious to what's around them.
Yes, they are very much in a self-reflective bubble reality of their own creation, and not having the idea that they are creating the very reality that they are experiencing.
I had a spirit contact me wanting help.
Yes.
And I asked all those questions and merely said that there is no help I can give you. You have to help yourself. You create your own reality. I will try to help you understand where you are, but I have no blessings to give you right now. I can only share what I know, and if it's helpful to you, it is, and if it's not, it's not. And I think that was the correct way, the correct approach to it. I just want a little confirmation that I'm not barking up the wrong tree here.
It feels very appropriate, because it is always appropriate to remind such beings that they are creating their reality. That is the skeleton key that will help to unlock them from that particular reality bubble experience when they begin to recognize the degree of lucidity that they have within the dream that they are experiencing themselves to be in this dream of separation. They will begin to awaken, and their guides and their teachers are doing their best in the manner of speaking to aid and assist this being, but this being, having free will, does have the choice to continue to be in denial. So you did the right thing by reminding them that they do create their own reality. And you also have every right to set your boundaries as you would like. And you need not be, shall we say, and we not feel this particularly from you, but many in your world get a little freaked out by these kind of communications, and often they are run through also the negative filters of the beings that are physical, and so add an extra layer of negativity and confusion to the interaction. However, you are coming from a state of relative clarity, and therefore reminding them that they do create their own reality, but also knowing that you can set your boundaries as well, that you create your reality. Therefore, there is always a reason why such beings come into your life. There are no accidents, but at the same time, you realizing that you create your own reality, can create a reality bubble whereby you do set your own boundaries for these kinds of interactions, as you would in a normal physical relationship.
Yeah. I wasn't so much taken back by the contact as I was wondering if this is a prelude to other things that might be coming.
The question is, do you want it to be?
I don't know.
Very interesting. Something to weigh. Recognize that there is no accidents as to even the conversation that was had in the last transmission with your group. These are abilities that are naturally opening up within each and every one of you. So each and every one of you will have more and more experiences of making these kinds of contact with spirit beings of a variety of frequencies and vibrations.
Is there such a thing as, how do I say this? A spirit therapist or a therapist for spirits?
Oh, absolutely. Many of you have these roles unbeknownst to you, for you are as yet very fragmented in your personality structures. But many of you are actually performing tasks in your nighttime, of which you have little memory in the morning. Many of you actually engage in the helping and assisting of spirits to cross over. Many of you are crossing guards, as it were, or assistants in the crossing process. And this will become more and more available to each and every one of you as you begin to integrate your personality. You'll recognize that you have many facets of your multidimensional self that is, quote-unquote, working after hours in your sleep time. And this will become more and more readily available. Each of you has many jobs, as it were, in the non-physical that you will be becoming more and more acquainted with. So your personality is but one small little sliver of a facet of the multidimensional being that you are, and you are employed in many directions and many dimensions. And as you integrate your personality, so too will you integrate the knowingness of how involved you are in reality in a variety of ways.
So then possibly the experiences I went through last night and this morning, I go through all the time, but I'm now just becoming aware of them.
Think of it as a kind of initiation.
I thought of it as a test. Same thing.
You like the word test.
I do like the word test.
We like the word initiation because we like the vibration of it.
Okay.
The idea of being tested implies that you could get something wrong, because a test is something that you either pass or fail, and we don't frame the experience in that particular way.
I think we're talking about the same thing. Because a test for me, the kind of test I'm talking about is not something you fail. You just keep taking it until you go on to the next level.
That's one way to look at it.
Is there anything that I should know on any ways that I can better control this so it just doesn't happen out of the blue?
As you open up, you will have these experiences more often. And as you experience them, you can use them to investigate if there are any resistances that you hold to such experiences. If you have any beliefs about being intruded upon, or that there was something that was thrust upon you from some outside agency. Because if you have those kinds of beliefs, it will continue to feel as if you don't have a sense of control over these experiences, because you're already labeling them as something that can intrude into your life. However, if you reframe your orientation to understanding that this is part of your curriculum, and it shows up precisely at the time that is most appropriate for you, with exquisite precision, you will develop a different kind of relationship to these experiences, and you will feel like you are, in a sense, in a kind of flow with the awakening of these abilities, rather than feeling like they are intruding into your life in some way that you are defining them to. So it is a matter of trusting the way your life unfolds, and trusting the timing of when these situations arrive in your life, trusting that exquisite calculations are made before such experiences can even take place. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, it does. I'm glad we're talking about these other types of things that aren't in our normal conversation, that I don't know, that I feel that maybe I sidestep because it's kind of out of the norm of talking about with spirits and transitions and helping spirits. I'm hoping we can have more conversations about that.
Well, here is another instance of that belief that something is intruding or something is out of place. This is in fact the curriculum because it is happening right now. And it also dovetails into the topic as it has been brought up in the last transmission. So you are right on cue. However, there is a portion of you defining it as being out of place or out of step or out of sync or a sidestep. And so these are the exact beliefs you really want to look into, because everything is in its perfect timing and its perfect orchestration. This is part of the curriculum, not a sidestep. Therefore, trust the way it all unfolds. Everything that comes into your life is perfectly orchestrated. So you can have the overarching belief that if it is happening as part of your curriculum, not as an interruption in it. And sometimes it will feel like you are threading a needle through one bead, then you'll be threading the needle through another bead. It will seem to be unrelated to your physical mind. Then you'll thread through another bead, and then before you know it, you look and you have this entire necklace of many different beads that seems to be individual, but yet they create this composite whole. And so recognize as you open up to these different realities, you might give yourselves the experience of developing it in very distinct chapters or stages. So at one time you might be opening up to nature spirits, and that might be part of the curriculum. Then you might close those doors a little bit so you can focus on spirits of the dead, as you like to say. Then that might fade into the background, and you might start pulling in more extraterrestrial type energies and working through that. And then you might connect to other aspects of energy, extra dimensionals and other lives, and on and on. And before you know it, you realize that you don't have to focus on each chapter individually, but rather you can see the entire necklace and the entire array of inner senses working in perfect harmony, whereby you can open all channels and all chapters simultaneously without being overwhelmed in your personality structure. However, at this stage, many of you are choosing to experience these curricula, these chapters, in distinct phases. So you'll have a specific period, whether it lasts one night or whether it lasts a week or a month. You'll go through a period of a certain type of opening, and then you might set that aside for a while and then experience a different type of opening. But eventually, as you spiral upward in your ascension and you integrate all these channels and thread the needle through all these experiences, you will see it more as a cohesive opening, whereby you will not be so ungrounded and overwhelmed by all the information that is available at your inner fingertips, as it were, through your inner senses.
It's really helpful for me to understand the phases that I'm in, and I'm glad that I have someone to ask these questions to.
Indeed, and remember, we are reflections of your higher mind, and so this is a conversation between you and your higher mind, even while it is a conversation between you and that which you call Illi. For Illi, remember, is in fact a reflective mirror. And so we are most exceedingly grateful to aid and assist at this timing in the ascension of humanity and each and every one of you.
My oversoul has told me to make some changes in my life to prepare for some things that are going to be coming, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. You can look for more unveiling of the various inner senses, and also more awareness of some of the old stuff, as you sometimes say, some moments of cleaning out the closets and cleaning out the basement, which is not unlike every other being now that is ascending. There will be periods of glorious exaltation, then experience and expansion, and periods of cleaning out the house, doing the house cleaning as it were, for the light will reveal the shadows. And this is part of the process, and when you integrate, you realize it's this and that rather than this or that, and you'll see it as one coin with two sides rather than interruptions in your flow. For the very definitions you give to these experiences are the very definitions that create your experience. And often your definitions are what give you the very experience of slowing down and being stuck because you label things in that way. And you're learning that rather than putting the cart before the horse, you will realize that the definition begets the experience, whereas you have been trained to believe that the experience begets the conclusion or the belief, but it is the other way around.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm past that point. Some of the things that you suggested I might work on seems very easy to be working on compared to the things I've already worked on. So I will definitely be doing that. Thank you. I really don't have any more questions.
Very good. Any questions from Lilia?
Well, thanks, Illi, for this lovely conversation. And I was curious about the work that Tom, Jeff, and I are doing. And I was wondering how you would describe sort of its signature keynote of what wants to emerge in our coming together as a collective to work with one another.
Transformation comes to mind, does it not? A kind of integrative transformation whereby you mutually support one another's transformation and by example therefore create the opportunities and fields of transformations that others can also plug into. For you'll be serving, and you are serving, as the reflective mirrors, even as we serve as a reflective mirror, for others to see in your reflections through the process that you avail yourselves to and make available to the world, opportunities and templates for new ways and new states of being. You are then leaving breadcrumbs for others to follow as they can tap into your vibration, which is anchored into the earth and very visibly demonstrated by the processes that you are yourselves courageously undertaking. So we thank you for being the examples and the willingness to shed a light into this world. Creating fields of transformation and the various ways that this can be done. Some of it will be done very physically. Others times it will be done in what you call your online formats, your digital formats, and various hybrids. You're experimenting with the creation of various circles of light, various gardens as it were, and helping and aiding and assisting, and through becoming mentors for others, recognizing you are becoming mentors to the various portions of your own personalities that are as yet resistant to being more and more of your true natural selves. So as you help others, you help yourselves, and as you help yourselves, you help others. Thusly, the reflective mirror is an appropriate analogy or metaphor, shall we say.
Yes, I would agree.
So then, let us take a few moments to spend in a meditative state whereby you can allow yourself to become very comfortable. and experience the opening of your hearts to this wonderful energy. And while you might metaphorically feel it as coming from without, it is in fact coming from within each and every one of you. And as you create this triangle of light, feel the light as it emanates from your hearts and creates a kind of link and a bridge. Do not be afraid. We're creating a very powerful structure. So feel that opening of the hearts and the beams of light that create the triangle between each and every one of you. And feel likewise the expansion of the light from the heart center moving simultaneously up into the crown center and down into the root center. So you have 3 points of light: the head center, the heart center, and the gut center. Expanding thusly then out into the torus field, the electromagnetic fields. Feeling the 3 that become the one that become the 3. Co-creative reflective mirrors. Recognize the absolute freedom that you have within this form to be your unique true natural selves, trusting the form to itself reinforce your individuality. So there is no loss of self by becoming harmonized into this structure, which in fact it supports your unique individuality, and your individuality is amplified by the structure. And the structure itself benefits from the amplification of your unique individuality. Feeling yourselves connected to infinite intelligence. Connecting to your higher minds, as it were. And connecting ours simultaneously into the frequencies of the earth. Feeling both very grounded and expansive simultaneously. And connected and interlinked. And so now we will offer and send whatever blessings are ours to send, we send. And whatever blessings are yours to give, we suggest you give to yourselves. For you are indeed blessings, like beautiful flowers upon the earth, releasing your fragrance and beauty for all to appreciate and admire and be inspired by. So allow yourselves to be the blessings that you are. And we shall then wish you all a very wonderful, glorious and beautiful, harmonious good day.